So
Okay, you got the audio on yours running.
Yeah.
Okay. You got anything?
Nothing yet. My stream hasn't loaded. Still says offline. Okay, try again.
Hello.
Yeah. It's back.
Okay, so we have audio now. I don't know for how long it's going to stick around for. I just reloaded the computer and we're going to see if that works. Tried and tested IT way of fixing everything. Just turn it off and turn it back on again. See how it goes this time. I like our viewership here. See if you can see this. People viewing? No people viewing. Watching now? Apparently 0. Let's go hide that off the screen. This is confidential information. Please don't have a look.
Please
Okay.
don't have a look.
Yeah. As soon as somebody says don't have a look at something, everybody's going to want to have a look at that. Okay, so we are back. We are now, I guess we'll go over 10 minutes because we did, we're starting 10 minutes late. Do let me know about the audio because I don't know for how long it's going to work. I guess last time it worked for like 5 minutes or something and then it stopped working. Got to pop out the chat here. Come on, chat. Come on to my screen. Welcome to the party. It's the party of only a little bit of audio. We're up to 24 viewers. That is 2/3 of what we had before we lost everybody. Thank you everyone for coming back. Thank you for putting your trust in me. Okay, so introductions. This is the video that you get to ask me questions. You can ask me whatever you want. Mike on the side here is going to write down the questions that he thinks are pretty awesome questions, and then he's going to take picks from the auction listings. The only rule is don't be so personal with your questions. No, just joking. No USS cars. That's a rule because USS doesn't like free advertising. And so you just put in the type of car that you want here, and then you click the search button, and you can put in extra criteria if you want, or you can just leave that blank. And I guess we're going to take a look at Altezas here. Let's see if we can find a cool one. And so if you want to send in one of these cars for me to do the translation or to look at it, like all of this is in Japanese, right? So you can get that translated to English if you're down with English. And if you speak Japanese, then you can just go and read this yourself. Yeah, so this one here is a JU Aichi, no USS auctions. So USS is one of the brand names of the auctions, and they don't let us put their cars on this video because other exporters will say, Derek's getting too many views on YouTube. Shut him down. Take his license away. I can't compete otherwise. So this is a year 2000 Altezza, and let's have a look at the looks. Well, bad paint, but otherwise Altezas are pretty sweet cars. Mike, what do you think about the Altezza?
I've never driven one, but I would like to. They have a good reputation.
Very short and
That's
sweet.
all I know.
I like it. Rear-wheel drive, fairly lightweight for being a four-door rear-wheel drive sedan, and comes with a Beams engine, which is 220 horsepower. A lot of people in Japan like it. I think it would be pretty underpowered in other countries, but some people turbocharge them, and you can find turbo ones every once in a while. This is an auction grade 3, so it's going to be pretty low. And just have a quick translation of this, 75,313 kilometers, which is a shame that it's not in better condition considering the relatively low mileage, but paint peeling on the front bumper, on the hood, and on the roof. And the roof has a U4, which is a like this size dent, face size dent on the roof. Most likely not caused by somebody's face denting it, because that would be painful. And I believe that these have aluminum hoods, so it takes a little bit more pressure in order to actually dent it. Aftermarket steering wheel side brake boot is cracked. Roof has a large dent on it. Aftermarket suspension and air filter. Rear bumper has been modified and has holes because of it. What is this? Coolant leak. Delicious. Various scratches and dents. Also, if a car has coolant leak in it, there's a good chance that it also has some other sort of damage, because if you drive a car with coolant leak and it runs hot, you can damage head gasket. Even if it doesn't look like it's blown, it can still be ready to blow. and so you really don't want to buy a car that has a coolant leak. Aftermarket wheels and door mirrors, scratch reverse spoiler paint peeling. This one, I guess, represents a fairly low-grade car. If you want to get an Altezza, the auctions have tons of good ones, but this one happens to be a bad one. If you want to get bad ones and then use it as a race car or as the beginning of a chassis for a race car, it's reasonable to buy a car like this, but then you're also competing against the people who buy the cars for parts. And so, because of that reason, they don't really sell for that cheap. This one starts at 9,000 yen. And if I were to guess, let's see. They don't... Oh, it has an automatic transmission. That's kind of dumb. Because the 6-speed manual is one of the reasons why you like the Altezza. Let's just put in the chassis number here. SXE 10-0027336. And this one is the RS 200, and so this one comes with the better engine. And oddly, the worst of the two has an inline 6-cylinder engine with the same displacement. So this is a 2-liter twin cam 4-cylinder, but it also comes in a 2-liter twin cam 6-cylinder, which is the lower horsepower of the two engines. And then in America and I think the station wagon version in Japan comes with a 2J engine, but it is a non-turbo 2J. And probably, like, if you were to take a 2J manual transmission version of this, which comes with a 5-speed, and then line it up with this version, except with the 6-speed manual transmission version, this one would actually be faster than the one with the 2J in it. Power is very similar. The 2J one has 220 horsepower, and this one's 200, 210. I know I said 220 earlier, but I'm thinking it's actually 200 or 210 or somewhere around there. Because the gear ratios in this are shorter because of the 6-speed manual, this one will end up to be a faster accelerating car and better handling because less weight at the nose. Okay, yeah, price-wise, because it has an automatic transmission and is in bad condition, I don't see this selling for more than about 12,000 yen, so about $100 for this car. Let me just check something. It looks like it says 75, but it might say 175. Okay, well, yeah, still about the same. In this bad of condition, still about the same price. Okay, so let's say a quick hi to everybody in the chat. Let's see who we got here. We got the regulars are here. Yoani. How do you pronounce that name?
I think it was Ioani.
Really?
I would say Ioani, yeah.
A couple of people are like, I bet you Derek's going to mispronounce his name again. I think it was Bill that said that. Bill's always here. We got D-Lage. That's cool. So thank you for sending in a car. Also, if you send in a car, put in the name of the auction and the number, but also say what kind of car it is. Because then if we think it's going to be a cool car, we'll definitely take a look at that one. If it's just something run-of-the-mill, maybe we'll look at other cars. We got Weldon Marcus. You have the cool... I got a question for you, Weldon Marcus. Is your first name Marcus and your last name Weldon? Or is your first name Weldon and your last name Marcus? Weldon's my last name. A lot of people know that. A lot of people don't, though. I don't mention it very much in the videos. But there aren't that many people in Canada with the last name Weldon. I know, like, in Ireland or some parts of Europe, it might be a little bit more common. But the only person that I've met with last name or first name Weldon actually was somebody with the first name Weldon, which really messed me up. And so Weldon Marcus, tell me, is that your first name or your last name? Weldon seems like an odd first name, but if it is your first name, it's cool in an odd way. Just like a Turbo Vitz would be. And more information on that later. I had a really good time with the Turbo Vitz that we have right now. And Mike is saying ooh-wee. Mike, what is the ooh-wee for?
Ooh-wee's for suspense building.
Ooh-wee. Is that how you say it?
Ooh-wee.
Can you
do a better one?
What?
The ooh-wee.
Do I?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh-wee.
No. More gusto.
Ooh-wee. We got Alexis from New York. Hey, Alexis, how you doing? Ramil. Only $100. Whoa! Yeah, bad condition cars don't cost very much because nobody wants them. Nippon Imports is in the house. I haven't watched your video yet, Nippon Imports, but I very much look forward to doing it. I had a plan, just as Andrew was leaving and Mike was coming in, because we had your car and Motocompo, we wanted to make a video with that. That was going to be really awesome. but there was just not enough time. And that's always the thing when it comes to video making. But the videos that you make are really awesome. So anyone who's watching, all 57 of you, have a look at the Nippon Imports. It has to do with Moto Compos, which everybody really needs to see. Happy New Year. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. You are the only female that ever comes into here. If you look at the stats on the channel, it's like 3% female and 97% male. So thank you for being part of the minority. I appreciate it. Only Derek stalkers know my last name, or people who go to my website, because it says it on there. Maybe everyone who goes to the website is my stalker. My mother gave all our siblings last names as first names. Great to hear from you. I watch all your videos every day. I have a 90 Miata myself. Good car. That's interesting. I would like to know, Weldon Marcus, what your siblings' names are if they all have last names as first names. And
he's also saying that Weldon is then a last name.
Hmm?
He's saying that Weldon is a last name.
Yes, but now I've met, unless it's the same person, but I may have met 2 people named Weldon now, and that's more than I've met outside of my family with the last name Weldon.
Right.
And so for me, I'm going to say it now. I have a first name as a last name. Remember, we were talking about that, weren't we?
Yeah.
Do you know, like...
And I have 2 first names.
Mike Dennis.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to tell people it's Dennis. Be exotic.
With a bit of finesse.
Right?
It's not spelt like finesse, though.
Mike Dennis, with the most finesse. Third-party inspections before bidding. All the auctions give that as a service, and so it's possible basically through any import or any exporter that wants to put in the time to doing it. But in my experience, most of our regular buyers don't bother with that because it complicates it. So if you're somebody who's really worried about the prospect of buying a car and having it not in good condition, then you can pay extra to have this inspection. And it would be suitable for some people. I think it's good for some people. But if you're buying from auction, you kind of have to be okay with there being some problems with the car, especially if you're going after like 25-year-old cars, because there's always something wrong with the 25-year-old car. Weldon is coming in New Zealand. What does that mean, Boomer?
Common.
Oh, common. I thought he said coming in New Zealand.
But actually, I think he's right. I think I've heard the last name Weldon.
Have you?
Before.
Maybe I should go to New Zealand.
You'd fit right in.
I have only met 4 New Zealanders in my life. 2 of them were awesome. One of them I didn't know well enough, but he was fairly rich.
And the other
so
one
on that based on that metric, maybe he's awesome. And then one of them is a complete d-bag.
Yes.
I don't. Yeah, not very many New Zealand people, and a lot of people from New Zealand I find move out of New Zealand.
Travel a lot, yeah. They say you find Kiwis in the weirdest places.
Really?
Apparently.
Okay, so what are we going to do? You want to do a question, or do you want to do...
we can do a couple questions.
Or some cars.
A lot of people said Happy New Year.
Yes, we shipped to New Zealand. Happy New Year to everybody. I had a break. Actually, here's what I did on the New Year's. Most of it was spent just playing Smash Brothers on my Switch with my kids, which is really good. I haven't played video games in years and years and years because I usually don't have enough time to do it. I'm usually wanting to do business stuff instead of anything personal. But I have gotten a little bit burnt out in the last several years and literally haven't owned a video game console other than like a Super Nintendo that we have in the office here since I moved to Japan. But we got our first video game console, the Nintendo Switch, last like a few months ago, right? Like 4 months ago or 5 months ago or something.
Yeah.
And we have it. We usually have it in the office here, but because I'm playing so much at home, I brought it home over the break. It's good.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
A friend just bought one and now I'm considering.
I love it because I don't want to sit in front of the TV and play video games anymore because I don't have the time for that. But what's nice about the Switch is you can go onto the toilet with it, or you can go pop it out. And a lot of games these days, especially ones that are made for the Switch, I think they take into consideration that these days people don't spend as much time on video games as a solid block, but still want to play.
Yeah.
And so the games are made in a way where you can pick it up play a little bit, and you can shut it off and play a little bit later.
Yeah.
And to me, that really appeals to me because I never have more than like 15 minutes to play.
Yeah. And I see people getting them out on the trains all the time.
Do you?
Yeah.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah. And I've never seen someone doing multiplayer on a train. I guess the Shinkansen
That would be really
the
funny.
only place,
I got 4 controllers, so we can do multiplayer. We should go on a train, just like me and you,
Yeah.
and then just try to get randos to play Nintendo Switch with us.
That would actually be
Like in
pretty
the
funny.
commercials. Have you seen the commercials? It's
I
like a
have
guy's
not.
playing Switch and a girl's like, hey, what are you doing? And it's like, this is the way you can meet girls. You can
Oh,
buy a
really?
Nintendo Switch and you can meet girls. And I want to know if it's true.
Yeah. I guess.
And I want to know what percentage of it comes from the Nintendo Switch and what percentage comes from the looks of the person. Because if you drive like a Ferrari or Lamborghini or something, you open your door and you're like, girls come, they're going to come. They're attracted to the wealth that you have.
Right. Yeah.
The Nintendo Switch, I don't think that it has the same sort of
Girls
thing.
come.
If you go on the train and you're like, I got a Switch, girls come, I guarantee you that you're going to get weird looks from people, even if there are girls that would be interested.
Yeah.
And if you're ugly, no girls are going to play with you. So you got to look as handsome as possible before we do this.
What about you?
I'm banking on you. I'm the older one here.
No, I just love how you're like, look, I'm fine, but you, on the other hand, you need to step up your game. I love it so much.
That was tangential. Let's get
Yes.
back to business.
That was New Year.
Make sure you're watching bids
Yes.
so that we don't miss any. Speaking of VTEC kicking in vroom vroom, the Turbo Vitz that I drove, which was the end of my story, the VTEC kicks in and it's awesome. I think it runs different timing for when the VTEC comes in, when the engine hits the VTEC, even though there was none of that over the break. Hunts by Chainsaw, there was none of it. So the only thing I actually did over the break other than play video games was went to the same racetrack as we did last year. Last year we went to a racetrack doing just a typical track day in an RX-8, and this year we did the same trip up to Nico Circuit in a Toyota Vitz. And kind of a weird car to do it in, but we have a turbocharged version of the Vitz, which they only made very few of. I can't get exact numbers on it, but it's something like 500 of them were made for the first generation. And so we took this car to the track and it was awesome. It wasn't as fast as the RX-8. Even with the lightweight, it's still less horsepower per kilogram than the RX-8 was. And the RX-8 is a heavy car. It's like 1390 kilograms. This is like 950 kilograms and 150 horsepower. Really nice, and when the VTEC kicks in, it really works. Like, I just took Mike out for a drive in it, and it really kicks in, doesn't it?
Yeah. I was actually surprised. It's
Like-
a lot of fun.
Like, the boost comes in at like 2500 RPM, and the VTEC changes at I think 38. And from 38 to 68, you still have a decent amount of rev range there. And it feels kind of slow even with the turbo, but then the VTEC changes and it's like, time to go. And it sounds like we have the same engine in our company car, the BB, right? It's so slow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, especially that hill coming up from
Yeah.
our lot up to the office.
Yeah.
Even when you like floor it and it changes the gear down, it makes it really noisy, and the RPM comes and it's still like, I'm going 40 kilometers an hour, 50
You can
kilometers
feel
an hour.
yourself aging as you wait for the speed.
And the Turbo Vitz, same engine with the turbocharger and most likely different timing change. So when the VTEC comes in, it advances, or like the Honda ones actually have different lobes on the camshafts, and so it allows the valves to come open earlier, and stay open longer. This Toyota one doesn't. It just changes the timing on it. It doesn't have advanced valve timing with lift. It's only timing. But it still does make a huge difference. And oh my gosh, is it ever fun. Fun little car. It's tiny. The Vitz is... Let's go take a look at a Vitz. See if we can find a turbo one. A Vitz, also known as the Yaris or the Echo hatchback. But in Japan it's a Vitz. But oddly ours has a Yaris badge on it because they want it to be European domestic market, I suppose. These are all newer than the one that we have. I guess this one here is the same generation. So it looks like this derpy little economy car, but I passed an Impreza consistently on the track, like an STI, 300 horsepower, and this little car just guaranteed that guy's selling his car. Now I got beat by Vitz.
Yeah.
This car sucks. It's definitely the car. That's so many people's mindsets.
Should have bought Toyota, bro.
Subaru sucks.
Peace.
Yeah, I'm watching. We have 64 people watching right now. We're gonna see how many Subaru bros that we have leaving the chat now. I think that guy was just not a. Yeah, there's one. I don't think that guy was a very good driver. He was super fast on the straightaways, but on the corners he didn't really know how to take them. Someone mentioned about Mighty Car Mods, Nippon Imports. Have you guys seen the new Mighty Car Mods video, Turbos and Tempos? I have seen the original one that was made like 2 or 3 years ago, and then their next one that they went to Japan. I guess this is their 3rd Japan trip. I've seen the first 2. I haven't seen the 3rd one. An hour and 20 minutes is a lot for me to invest, especially when I got Smash Brothers on the Nintendo Switch, pulling my interest toward it. I prefer most car videos to be in the 10 to 15 minute range, sort of like regular car reviews. I love his stuff. What's the cheapest car you can still buy in good shape? We've gotten excellent cars for 4,000 yen. A couple of them. That's 30 bucks. But it has to be a car nobody else wants. Like one of these. This car here. Let's see what engine that we have. This one's 1,000 cc. 66,000 kilometers. Underside surface rust, interior dirty. Door card has scratches in it. Console scratched. Seat has a medium size stain. Steering wheel wear, headliner dirty, mirrors scratched, bumper underside scratched, and wheel cover scratched. Body is in really terrible shape with a tiny bit of rust right over here. Bad scratches here, bad scratches here. This car is not going to be any more than the starting price. Starting price, 20,000 yen. I have a feeling nobody's going to bid that high on this. These cars, even like the Fit or the Civic, they sell for really low prices because there's so many of them here in Japan, and why get a bad condition one like this is if there are so many to choose from. It's simple supply and demand. Someone else says the Turbos and Tempos video is pretty awesome. I didn't get a chance to finish what I was saying there. Yeah, I would like to see it, I guess, but have you seen it?
No.
No?
I haven't watched any Mighty Car Mods videos in a while.
Why?
Sacrilege. I don't know.
I'm curious about that because I'm the same way too.
I can't remember. I think I like that. Maybe it's because of the length as well.
I like their content.
Yeah.
And every time I watch a video, I'm like, why don't I watch anymore? But when I'm going through the videos to watch, I never feel like I need a Mighty Car Mods video. And I know some people do.
They do a lot of series now, don't they? Where you have to kind of invest in the whole series to know?
And they kind of contaminated things too, because like they used to do videos that were all very simple. They had a simple structure where they would do similar like videos that were fairly short over time. And then as they got more money and got used to it, they started making better content. And then also kind of like the cheap content, which is the stuff that I love, and the more well-produced content and more expensive to make content.
Oh, okay.
And then they kind of muddy the waters when they have both of those. And then they got the Skid Factory now and the Unicorn. Do you know these?
I do not. No,
So there's the Unicorn something, which is like a talk news show, which is good. I think well presented and it's fun to watch, but it's very different from everything else. And they got the Skid Factory, which is the other people in the mechanic shops that they work with, who are also very good, but also kind of different content from what I want to watch. And so when you diversify that much, it loses the focus of the channel, I think.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my feeling.
They're
I
kind
don't
of
think it's a
appealing to lot of
necessary
different people, though.
bad thing. I think it's just a part of growing.
Yeah.
Like when we were a small company, every one of our customers was in love with us and sending us love letters and sending us free stuff all the time. But as we've gotten bigger, people don't feel the same sort of connection with someone that's bigger.
True.
Or maybe that just happened at the same time as you came in. Maybe everyone was attracted to Andrew.
Maybe. Good for business.
Lucio Hardware says, hey, Nippon Imports. So they sell a car for 30 bucks and then blow it all on sushi? No, somebody else said something about that one because they drove a March Super Turbo in that. I did see it. They drive a March Super Turbo across the country. Such a bad How can you say BADASS in a way that is suitable for a company?
Brass.
Bus. It is
Wow.
such a bus car. Yeah, and the March Super Turbo. The one thing I was most curious about in that video is where did they get the car from, and how much did they pay for it? And what was the real condition of the car? Because movie magic can make a car seem cooler than it actually is. The Super Turbo is a very, very uncommon and hard to find car nowadays. And in their previous videos, they always bought from a dealership in Hokkaido, which is weird because all the cars up there are in junk condition because higher mileage cars, lots of rust, lots of snow up there, so lots of rust. And I always wondered if the cars were actually pretty bad. But a Super Turbo is a car that takes effort to keep it on the road because it's not really a good design. Otherwise, they would have stuck with it. It's like a turbocharged and supercharged, and then the engine is like 1300 cc or something, maybe 1500 cc. Flavian, how do you pronounce your name? Is it Flavian or Flavian? Rory said that it's Flavian.
I think it's Flavion.
Oh.
That's my guess.
Flavion. I'm going to intentionally mispronounce it. Derek, did you cry when Brian's eclipse got exploded in Fast and the Furious? I did because I love that eclipse. I was like 19 years old when that happened. And I didn't cry. By that time, I had stopped crying at movies. Actually, that's not true. Do you cry when you watch movies?
Usually not. I tear up sometimes. Oh yeah. This is going deep with Derek.
And 61 other people.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you get like a little bit teary if something's really emotional, but I never full on cry.
Do you tear up in real life?
No.
Right? Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Isn't that like, I think a lot of people are like that. They watch a movie and they're like, oh my god, I'm crying. And then in real life, bad things happen, and then it's not the same.
We're emotionally
You know what?
vacant.
I just made the connection. In a movie, they always have that sappy music going on in sad
That's the
times.
music, yeah.
Right? Plus, as a movie, they always tell you all the information that you need in order to be sad. I think a lot of sad things happen in life where you just don't realize it because it's inside the mind of somebody else.
Yeah, they're not like
That makes me feel so
showing
sad
you
now.
everything. It's true.
How much did they say on Mighty Car Mods how much the March cost? The March Super Turbo. I'm curious about that, and I don't want to spend an hour or like 2 hours watching their movie. Especially like they come
2
to
hours? It's like a movie?
It's 120 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a movie.
They do
Wow.
they do a movie every once in a while. And so
Whoa.
this is like 4th or 5th movie or something like
Yeah.
that.
I didn't know that.
It's full length, and then they do a full soundtrack exclusive for the movie.
Cool.
And then you can buy the CD or download or something.
And he produces all the music.
Yeah, it's cool.
Sweet.
What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so Mighty Car Mods, they come to Japan, and a lot of what's fun to watch about that is that wow, we're giving you an expose of what Japan is like from a car guy's point of view, and a lot of the specialness that is valuable to viewers doesn't really hit me the same way because I've been living here for so long. And so, and especially when there are little things like when there are tiny little stretches of the truth, not like it's necessarily bad to do something like that because you can play up the specialness of Japan very much in a video like that in order to make better content. But those types of things rub me the wrong way because it's just my life. Imagine like you live in the USA and then somebody from Russia comes to the USA and it's like, look at the cool car culture in the USA. And then it's not exactly the way it actually is because it's an outsider's view on what it's like. I think maybe that's not exactly an easy way to put it, but I didn't watch it. Flavian. Please tell me how to pronounce your name. I'll probably forget. Flavian, I have something special for you and for everybody else, but it's coming up at the end of this week, and so I'll let you know about that. Let's go take a look at other cars. What do you got for me, Mike?
I got a Celica, super sweet Celica.
What?
Osaka.
What's a Celica? What's that?
Celica? I don't know, my English is weird. 755.
It's just because everybody gives me trouble for calling it the correct name.
Oh, what is the correct?
Celica is the Japanese way, But in the USA, they call it Celica. But it's also Toyota's fault because in all the ads, they called it Celica. Yeah, it's really dumb. And then you watch the Japanese ads, and they're like, Celica. And you watch the Canadian ads, Celica. Australia, New Zealand, UK, everywhere else, Celica. But in the US, they're like, it's like they were like, they just gave the press information to the advertising company, and we're like, sell this car for us. And nobody ever actually verbalized the name of the car.
Yeah.
And so one person made a mistake, and then it just carried on. Anyways, we're looking at what?
Zip Osaka.
I'm looking at the wrong one. What's that number again?
755.
I'm putting that in the wrong place. And auctions are low right now because
I think the keyword was still there.
Oh, was it? Because we're 1 week off of the Japan-wide shutdown. And so because of that, the auctions are going to be about half size right now. Okay, so it is a Mark II Supra, which I guess is starting to become cool again now. When I was in high school, these were the teenagers' cars. You could buy them for like $500 or $1,000, and you could have an inline six. We didn't get the same car as they got here in Japan. In Japan, you can get these as turbocharged cars, but you didn't get a very good version of this in the USA, engine-wise. This one has a period correct aero part on it. These are terrible, and this is terrible, but the front bumper's not bad. Watanabe wheels on it. Never seemed like an extremely good car to me. I don't know. What do you think about these?
I like the look of them. I've never driven one or been in one, but I really like the look of them. And I guess I like what they created.
I don't like how the back light here. Do you see how it is? That's not a very good picture of the rear, but it comes out. It's like, we need a backlight, but we want to add some styling to the back, so let's make it come out. I don't know. I feel like I should appreciate this more. I love all cars from this era. I love Toyotas.
Headlights.
There you go. I do very much like how they differentiated the Supra from the Celica by adding the different front end. This one, here's something that's a little bit interesting. In Japan, this car is called the Celica XX, but in the rest of the world, or at least in America, North America, Canada, it's called the Supra. So the Mark I Supra was the generation before this. This is a Mark II Supra. Then the Mark III is, everybody knows those cars. But in Japan, it's called the Celica XX. And then the Supra is basically a Celica where they stretch out the wheelbase, and then instead of having a 4-cylinder, they'd have an inline 6-cylinder. And so the ethos of a Supra is make a Celica with a bigger engine. And in particular, they always had an inline 6-cylinder in every generation of the Supra. And so it's very cool now that they're continuing with the inline 6-cylinder. It is very odd to myself and to all people out there, or I guess not all people, but a lot of people out there are very concerned that a BMW engine is going to kill a lot of the specialness of what a Toyota should be, but I don't know. The engine seems to be pretty good. And how much specialness does Toyota actually have? Because the only interesting car that they've had in a while is co-made by Subaru with the Subaru engine in it. And so it can be disappointing, but I think it's still going to be a fairly good car. Road Racer 46. Hey Derek, I purchased a GTR from you in 2015 and it's been the best car purchase that I've made. QQ-do GTIRs still come through the auction, and are they decently priced? The rate of GTIRs, which is a Pulsar, just show this. 4-wheel drive SR20 turbocharged homologation Group A rally car. However, they didn't actually do it in rally very much. That's how it's not supposed to look. These cars, because they're a rally-based car, doing a street style like this is a Photoshop, but doing a street style, I think, it goes the wrong way with this car. It would be like taking a Lancia Stratos and doing that with it, or a Lancia Delta. I think it needs to look kind of rally car like this. Cool car, yeah. A lot of them are in bad condition. All Nissans rust, and this is now over 25 years old, and so rust is a huge problem. Plus, these were super, super cheap cars for such a long time that, and this is very common of cars like this. They're more popular now than they were 20 years ago, and so they used to be really cheap, and now that there are so few of them, people are like, I want that car because now it's rare. They come up at auction maybe about once or twice a month now, but I don't know, 80 or so percent of them need to be restored in some way. And here I am being typical of myself, stopping talking about what I'm talking about to talk about something else, and then forgetting about what I was talking about. Okay, so 2.8 liter engine. I don't know which engine these come with. What's the 2.8? Is it 5M engine? Auction rate 4B makes this a very good condition for the age of the car. 49,280 kilometers on it. And let's just squint here so I can read. Exterior small scratches, small dents, wheel scratch, door mirrors scratched, interior is a bit dirty and has some wear in it. Aftermarket steering wheel is peeling. The right side power window doesn't work. Underside has surface rust and corrosion, which for a car this clean, to me, doesn't matter so much because you can't find a clean Celica XX anymore. And you can repair that corrosion. If it's a newer car that's easier to buy without corrosion, then in that case, I wouldn't recommend a car with corrosion. Windshield molding is cracked. That might be hard to find that part nowadays. Aftermarket shift knob and fender moldings put on. Okay, and then looking at the body, it's all super clean, and we got a little bit of rust right up here. Still a good condition car to buy. I have a feeling like the Celica XX is worth more in Japan than the Supra is in the United States, and so it's not really a car you would want to import unless you wanted the differences in the Japanese one, which I don't know entirely what they are other than this one being right-hand drive. So I would say that probably you're looking at like 600,000 to 1.4 million, probably over $1 million yen. So that's, if I were to pick like a one price, I would say like $10,000 to buy this, which seems like a lot to me, especially since this was the high schooler's junker vehicle way back when. It is weird. It definitely makes you feel old when you see the cars from your childhood become expensive cars. And this one's not even one of the bad ones. The 8.6 is terribly highly priced now.
Do you think that's why you don't like it as much? Because you saw so many of them in bad condition? Because I feel kind of the same way about the Altezza. You see a lot of bad ones in New Zealand.
It's, yeah, that's interesting. I feel like this should have been a better car, and it feels to me like, so this car was designed in kind of like 81, 82. I think it first came out in like 84 or something like that. And I think Toyota at that time was struggling a lot with, in Japan, they made these cool lightweight cars, but then bumper regulations changed in the US, and then you now needed to have your cars stronger than what the Japanese market would allow. And Toyota struggled a lot trying to make that transition because all of their great cars were great because they were lightweight and they were generally had pretty well engineered chassis. And I think that Toyota had some stumbling time in trying to make their cars meet the safety requirements before they can make excellent cars again. And I think they didn't quite get that until kind of a little bit later, and this is one of the cars. Also, the generation before this and the Celica version of this fall into the same category where you know, let's make bigger bumpers with very heavy rebar right behind the bumpers in order to meet that crash safety. Whereas, I don't know, it's questionable whether that actually made the car any safer, and it really numbed the way that the car feels when you drive it. And because, like, I've driven an 8.6, which is kind of a floppy car, kind of a low-powered floppy car, and then this seems to me like bigger engine bay, heavier car, but just as floppy is my impression. And so that to me feels like you get not as much coolness as in the 8.6, especially with the styling, and a worse driving feel. And so I don't know, that I think that's where my distaste for these cars come from.
Okay.
I don't know.
Would you like another one?
I'll answer this question here. Can you do a hypothetical price breakdown of buying a car, shipping, and fees? Yes, when people email us, this is one of the things we usually do is we'll send like a calculation of what all your costs are, and it can be a little bit confusing, but we try to make it simple by putting all of the costs together and outlining every single cost. And crucially, we don't have any markup on any of the extra fees. And so when we do transport in Japan, you pay exactly what we pay. And when we do shipping, you pay exactly what we pay. And so there's no hidden fees in there. And to some people, and I guess a lot of customers, because we sell a decent amount of cars, but we're still very small compared to a lot of the bigger exporters. A lot of people will look just at that one number and say, oh, this company does it for 800,000 or 80,000 yen or $800, but how come these people are more expensive? And we really make less money than everyone else due to that fact. But for our customers, that's the type of company that I want to buy from, and so that's the type of company that I want to make. So anyways, that doesn't answer the question. What is the cost breakdown? Okay, so let me just look at the camera here. Car, whatever you pay for the car, no tax added to that. 100,000 yen service fee for any car that's under 1 million yen, which is almost all of our purchases. More expensive cars are an extra 5% on the amount that's over 1 million. You can back up the video if I spoke too quickly there. The cost of inland transport, which is usually around $150 or $200. The cost of shipping, which depends on the country, but is often around $1,000 to $1,500 US, also based on the size of the car. And then the import costs into your country, which varies by country, and that's something for you to look up what the costs are. If you're in the USA, it's about like $600 plus 2.5%. In Canada, it's about 500 Canadian dollars plus 11.1%, and other countries have different amounts. Some of them are really expensive and some of them are cheap. And here's another thing, because we want to be an honest company. I don't believe an honest company can pick and choose which areas they are honest in. And so because of that, we don't do any messing around with the price of the car on the invoice in order to let you bring in the car for a cheaper rate. And the way I feel about that is people don't get away with that forever. And we as a company don't want to be flagged as a company that's altering the prices on the invoices, and so we don't play around with that. And I realize a lot of exporters save their customers money because of that, but I don't want to choose where the line of honesty with our company starts and where it ends. So that way we can always be on the level with everybody, and that's just the decision that we made as a company. Say the prices in yen and dollars from now on. I try to do that. I sometimes forget as I'm trying to rattle off. My brain doesn't work as fast as the typical person's brain, and so. But 100,000 yen is roughly $800 at the moment. $820 or so. What do you want to do, Mike?
Party!
We got another 18 minutes because we started late.
More cars?
Derek, could you check this Legacy GTB? That
is that 900?
I have a bad taste in my mouth because of Legacy GTBs, because we just sent one to Canada and we lost $2,000 on the person who sold that one, and we just sent another one and nobody's interested in buying it. So I don't want to talk about Legacies. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Unless you want to buy that Legacy, in which case I'll talk about it, Mr. Oakleaf. Do you have any cars that aren't Legacies?
There's a Suzuki AltoWorks.
Yep, that's good. What year is it? Is it the stupid looking one or the rad looking one?
Well, 1995. To me, that doesn't look rad, but...
It doesn't? No, that's the rad one. Okay, what's the number?
54 at Bayonne.
So you drove the Turbo Vitz today, right?
Yes.
I drove one of these for the video
yes.
That we did like 2 years ago.
Right.
I don't know if you saw that video. The speed's about the same.
Really?
But the one that I drove had increased boost from normal.
So it was even faster?
No, it was about the same speed as the Vitz.
Okay. Wow, that's actually impressive then.
Yeah, and so much fun to drive. Way more tossable than the Vitz, even though the Vitz, like one of the highlights of it is the tossability. Like going into transitions, going from one to the other, just do. This car's so good that way. So much fun. I'm in love with these cars.
Wow.
This is
front-wheel drive as well, yeah?
Or four-wheel drive, but
they came?
I would recommend going with the front-wheel drive version of this because you're going to save weight.
Yeah.
And I don't think the extra grip coming out of corners would make up for the extra weight that it gives you. But I haven't driven the four-wheel drive version of it. It's 600 kilograms. And so it'll probably add another 50 to 80 kilograms onto that if you had the four-wheel drive version.
Bill Courtney has an important question. Could I fit in it?
Yes, the big people fit in these too.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, big time. Like, I always put the seat in most cars to the full back position for my most comfortable position. And I do for this, and it has more room than the Vitz that you drove today.
Oh, okay.
Probably about that much more room too.
Oh,
It's quite
perfect.
substantial.
Oh, no, I want to drive.
Except if you get in an accident in this, you're definitely going to die because it's basically like cutting off the top of a Coke can and sitting inside it and then getting hit by a car. It doesn't. Really, there's nothing to this car, and yeah.
I love the imagery.
Oh yes, I loved it so much. The one that I had, and the one I bought, it wasn't in good condition. It kind of looked similar to this. It was the pre-facelift model. Or no, this was one generation before this, but they look almost identical. And I bought it for 78,000 yen. So $600.
Wow.
Yeah. And I changed the shift knob into one of those big ones. Do you know what?
With the bubbles inside them?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, the one that people say DILDO.
Yeah, that's
shift
what I
knob.
was avoiding saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It was so cool to have a tiny little car with a giant shift knob. Look at me, I'm shifting. And it also had like stretched tires and really wide fitment with the cambered wheels.
I like it.
Yeah, it was super fun to drive. It handled worse because of that, but it was still fun to drive a car that loses grip easily. Super fun. Mike, are you 6'3"?
I am 6'3", yes.
Bill Courtney knows your height.
Yes.
Don't mention your address on stream. Bill Courtney's gonna come.
You thought you were the
to
only
your
one with
house.
stalkers, huh? Well, I've been working the angles as well.
What do you mean working the angles,
I
Mike?
don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay, so what
I
do
think
we?
he's asked about cars like that before, and I mentioned.
Okay,
like the
so
Cappuccino.
a problem with the Alto Works is that they were cheap cars when they were new cars. They were probably somewhere around, 1.1 million or $9,000 when they were brand new cars back 25 years ago. Because of that, all materials in them are cheap, including the paint on the outside and the interior, and basically everything is really cheap on the car, except the engine is cool because it's a sports car turbocharged engine. And it's an F6A engine. It's used in a lot of cars. Cappuccino, AZ1. This, obviously, K-Works has the same engine. And they are very easy to modify, easy to get good power out of. But they're still cheap cars. And because of that, I mean, they were cheap cars. People didn't treat them very well. They don't last very long. And so most of them are in bad condition. But the bad condition is kind of a charm of the vehicle, and so you can have a bad condition car that you have a lot of fun with, and it can be relatively cheap. And I think that's what you go for with this. This is the RSZ, which I think is the front wheel drive version. I think the RSX is the 4-wheel drive. I might be wrong about that. 5-speed manual on this. It's 1995, so not legal for the US, but the generation beforehand is. Auction rate 3.5, interior C, exterior C, so kind of low grade for interior and exterior. We got some paint damage over here, a couple of dents. The body's actually not that bad. I would grade this as 6.5 out of 10 or so. Exterior has red two-tone. Oh, so this auction doesn't separate the sales points from the inspector report, and so it's a little bit annoying. So. Interior scratches, dirty, and rip. Looks like it's in the seat here. Wheels, scratched aftermarket steering wheel. No power steering in these, but it doesn't really matter for a car this light. Exterior has paint fade, you can see in the pictures. I might even lower the 6.5 exterior down to about 5.5 because of the paint fade. Various scratches and dents. Spoiler scratched. I can't read this. I'll get Naoko to read that one. Naoko, yes. I need your help to be on live video in front of 59 other people. Can you read this?
Naoko's like, no problem.
Windshield lock chip.
Oh,
yes.
FG is front glass.
Yes.
Okay. So windshield, thank you. Windshield rock chip, underside surface rust and painted, exhaust leak, wheels scratched and corrosion on them. And core support is dented. Doesn't matter. It's still fun. And still pretty cheap. This car in this condition will be more expensive than the one that I had, but probably not that much. Probably 120,000 yen or so for this. And then cheap to ship too, because it's small. I'm looking through the comments here. RSZ is front wheel drive. Oh, I'm so surprised, Flavian, that you knew that. I'm so surprised. Are the FN2 popular in Japan? I guess they kind of were, but a lot of people kind of prefer the EK9 that came out before that one. Bill Courtney almost saw you, Naoko. You have to be more careful next time. Somebody's asking about a GTR. Are you setting a bid over there?
We've got a bid coming up, yeah.
Okay. What is it on?
9 cars. A Cynthia S15.
S15?
Yes.
Really?
To Europe.
Is it cool?
Fujitsubo exhaust?
Ah, oh, it must be cool.
Yeah.
No bill. $30 is not enough to buy this car. 5-speed, man. If it had an auto, you might be close. You really want this car with a 5-speed, though. Okay.
Another car?
Yes.
Mark II.
Does it?
R30 Skyline. Or R32. With 500,000 Ks.
Oh, yeah. Why don't we take a look at that? What's the number?
411. TAA Kyushu.
Kyushu is all the way down south. It's far away, but the prices at Kyushu tend to be pretty good. Oh, I kind of want to look at this one. But some guy is like, Derek, we don't want you to see USS, so I'll make a formal complaint to the auction house and recommend that they take your membership away.
That's an awfully specific hypothetical example.
Even though I tell everybody that he doesn't have a membership. Right? Yeah. Don't buy from Derek. He doesn't have a membership. Hey, USS, take his membership away. Quick. I've told everybody already.
I don't want to be alive.
I think I got the wrong one here. I'm looking here. 511 is the auction number?
4411.
I intentionally said the accent incorrect for the membership person because you would know who it is if I said his accent. My accents are impeccable. Right, Mike?
Yes, flawless.
Woo! Skyline. I can't believe 500,000 kilometers on this.
Rebuild it.
Maybe it's already been rebuilt. Ooh, look at these. The tires are RE11s. Woo! The highest rated track tire. I looked it up. They don't sell them anymore, though. Or do they? Do you know about that?
RE11s?
Uh-huh.
I don't think they sell them.
I think they stopped last year.
Yeah.
Wow, not only 501,000 kilometers, but also unknown mileage. So it could very well be higher than that. It has an Impal gauge set swapped in with no records of when that was swapped in, so the mileage is unknown. Wow, but it looks so good. It looks amazing on the LM wheels, right?
Yeah. I like it.
And the car looks good in white. I love these cars in white because you see so few of them in this color. So it's a 1991. That means it's color changed. No white ones in 1991. Wah wah. Color change is annoying to me because I don't know what color of white. There are a million different colors of white.
I just saw Vitz go by.
Was it a Turbo Vitz?
I don't know, but it had a body kit.
Oh, probably was.
Yeah.
Auction grade R, interior D, exterior D. That sounds kind of bad. Also some rust, some corrosion. The body otherwise seems to be okay. Some corrosion over here. What do we got here? Something I can't read. It says it doesn't come with this, but I don't know what this is. Japanese is stupid to read. Sorry, Naoko. Sorry for saying bad things about anything Japanese, but if it takes your population like 12 years to learn how to read, how long?
No chance for me.
No chance. Mike, how long do you think it takes average people to learn how to read English?
I think you should know how to read English
In 5 years, right?
Yeah, 5 years.
I'm giving you the answers.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's what I was gonna say.
And then you can still read if you don't know all the words. You can just sound things out. That's something you can't do in Japanese. You can't sound anything out. And there's like 16,000 characters. This is how I make myself feel better when I can't read things. It has aftermarket seats in it. Has various modifications, so see the car yourself if you are worried about the modifications. Rear inner panel replaced. Trunk, floor, and front inner panel dented. Floor panel has corrosion hole. Front inner panel corrosion hole. Various corrosion on the car. Core support dented. Engine oil leak. Underside scratched and dented. Stereo has been removed. Shift knob replaced. Dashboard glue marks. And comes up medium. There's no interior picture, so I can't show you. But it's a very famous thing. If you look at dash bubble on R32s, it's on 90% of them.
Super chat.
What? Whoa, $2? You sent us 5 last week. Oh, that's not even for me. Naoko, you got free money from Josh, not from Josh, from Nippon Imports. $2.
Thank you.
Naoko says thank you. Thank you, Josh.
Think about that, Naoko. Every time you show yourself to the internet, they give you money.
Yep, and that Bill Courtney almost saw you. Think about how much you would get if you were actually visible on the camera. Thank you, Josh. Console has glue marks on it. Steering wheel. Steering wheel grip needs to be replaced. Must be peeling really badly. It's a common thing. Seat is ripped, small, and a cigarette burn medium. Medium could also mean more than one because Japanese language doesn't have plurals in it. Interior is dirty. Door mirror scratched. Aftermarket wheels, intercooler, and air filter, and the clutch something. I don't know. So when we're translating for our customers, we'll get Naoko or somebody else to translate that. People in the live stream here don't get to hear about our girl Aoi because she only comes in on Thursdays and Fridays and Saturdays. And so you guys don't get to meet her. So Naoko, you have no competition. You're the number one.
Yay.
The only girl.
Yay. Wait, maybe Mike. Maybe Mike is Naoko's competition. But
well, no one's ever paid me to appear.
Do you hear that, everybody? No.
Shameless.
Nobody has sent in a super chat for Mike, and he's complaining about it. Look at that. Do a sad face.
No.
Oh, I just got Naoko on the camera. I'm sorry, Naoko.
Oh, no.
I'll give you an extra bonus.
We'll double it.
I'll double it from 0 to 0. That's not true. Okay, let's get back to questions. How much does a decent rust-free R32 GTS-T and R33 GTS 25T normally go for? The GTS-T is anywhere between 800,000 to... Well, no, you can still get them for 700. And sometimes in 6. But if you're looking for a clean, decent, rust-free one, you're looking over 800. So 800 to 1.2 is average. You can get a really good one for more than that if you want to spend more. But that's somewhere around $7,000 to about $11,000. Plus you would pay for our fee and the inland transport and the shipping and the import. Full landed costs, you're probably looking at 11,000, 12,000 or so in the middle. The R33 GTR, they're probably a little bit more expensive if the condition is the same, but maybe only for now because they're the hot item. They've only been importable for about 6 or so months or so. And so the R33, I would say probably looking at about 20% more, but also more on the upper end of that. So the really good condition ones, because there are more really good condition R32s than there are R33s, because the populace in Japan loved the R32 and kind of had lukewarm feelings about the R33. And so that's probably why there aren't so many that are good. Robert Johnson says, "Hey Derek." Hey Robert Johnson. Hey, how you doing? Nippon Imports says gangster. everything with you is gangster. I don't know why. I don't know what that means. Is gangster a good thing? Mike, this is a question for you.
Yeah.
Gangster's a good thing.
What's up, gangster?
That makes me feel like you're accusing me of crimes.
But isn't crime cool?
Yep, and smoking is cool, not too. Let's get into that because I didn't already get shamed by everyone. Vaping actually isn't bad for you. It's good. I don't know why that person's German.
Impeccable accents as promised.
Bill Courtney says he likes the Protege 5, which is odd because the Protege 5, called the Familia in Japan, is a very middle of the road kind of car. What about Yakuza cars? I don't know because I don't know any Yakuza people. I think if you're a successful Yakuza person, then you're into Lamborghinis and Ferraris, and then you modify them. Otherwise, like AMG cars, I suspect would be the most popular at the moment. Like C63, S63, that kind of car. Going through the chat here, humming to myself. You got another car for me?
I do.
Oh, how much is this one going to sell for? This 500,000 kilometer unknown mileage, poor condition car that has the RE11s on it. It's a GTR. GTRs rarely ever go below 1.5. This one would probably around 1.5, 1.6, somewhere in there. This would be close to the cheapest one that you can get. Has rust on the body and stuff. That means about $13,500 US, 13,500.
Oh, that's a pretty good question. Hot ticket cars for 2019. What does the year have in store?
Oh, this question is gonna kill me.
Yeah.
They're really at this point. If you're talking about U.S. market, so what is importable?
So, yeah.
What is importable from this year that's going to be the hot ticket item? And I think this is a good question that you could ask 4 or 5 years ago. But I think these days there are so many people trying to import cars for a profit that they already have every single car covered with this. We even see cars that are otherwise unremarkable have prices that to me seem to be pretty expensive for the US market, simply because there's something else for people to sell in the USA and they think they can make a profit off of it, and so they buy it. And there are enough people buying it that the prices are going up. I think that there are a few cars that become legal in 2019 that are going to be sought after, I suppose. I don't think that there are going to be any good values if you know the information that other people don't know, because everybody who's doing it, and these people are the people pushing up the price, they already know all of these cars, so there's no secret information, secret sauce that's going to bring you in some money. Also, I'd like to mention, Mike, you didn't get any super chats.
You're fired. That would have been the perfect way to end that. Anyways, yes, go on.
People on TV always get fired in fun ways, but in real life, it would be very costly for a company to do that. Unless you're Donald Trump, though.
Yeah.
Didn't somebody find out, like, last year that he was fired in, like, a news article?
Really?
He was like, what? I'm fired?
What?
Yeah.
One of his employees.
Well, I mean, somebody in the government was fired, and then they found out.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't even remember who it was.
Wow.
But, like, we're talking about, like, people who get fired in weird ways.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't happen except for that sort of thing. Isn't that
imagine
weird?
what you're reading the paper, they're like, honey, did you know you're fired?
Or
It's
he
like,
he
oh.
found out on Twitter or something.
Oh.
Twitter's even worse.
Yeah.
That's like the difference between breaking up with somebody on the phone and doing it in a text message.
Yeah.
Like Twitter is the text message of
Or a
firing
group
people.
chat or something.
Yeah.
People are like,
Or
oh,
telling a friend.
Yeah, you're not even the
Like,
first person
this
to
is
find
middle
out.
school when you're breaking up.
Yeah. Tell
Yes,
Jessica
Elizabeth said, and I'm using your name, Elizabeth, because you're the only girl that I know. Elizabeth says she doesn't want to go out with you, so yeah, okay, bye.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's do some work. Ah! Mike!
Oh, yeah! That's Christmas!
Christmas comes late! $2! Can I get a what?
Whoop, whoop.
No, that was a whoop whoop.
Oh,
I said a what?
People actually say what? Oh yeah, they do.
I
right.
just asked you to
Yeah.
say it. It doesn't matter what. You have to get on camera and say thank you.
Can I do a video message like a thank you, Mr. President? Is that better?
Say it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thanks, Josh. Really appreciate it.
Did you just laugh at your own joke?
I always laugh at my own jokes. I'm usually the
I know
first
that's
to laugh.
that's one of the funnest things about hanging out with you. How much do S15s cost, and when do they become legal in the USA? The first year from them was 99, and so we'll do a quick little math here. The earliest car that you can get right now is 1994, so you have to wait another 5 years before they're legal in the USA, and by that time prices are going to be very different. I suspect they're going to be really expensive when they're legal because they're one of 3 of the tuning industry's darling cars. There's the GTR, there's the S15, and there's the JZX 100s and or 90s, and these are the cars that all the magazines in the USA love these cars, and so kids and websites. So kids getting into it for the first time are like, these are the iconic cars, and so I think that they're going to be pretty expensive. At the moment, they're about $1,000,000 yen average. You can go higher or lower than that, so that's about 9,000 US dollars, 8,500. S15 Chevy pickup, yes, there is a S15 Chevy pickup. It's actually not a bad truck. It's like a mini truck. How often do you ship Daihatsus to the USA? Not very often. Daihatsus are almost all K vehicles. They are. Daihatsu is K vehicles. I don't think that they make any non-K vehicles. And then we don't sell too many K vehicles that aren't your typical ones. We send mostly K trucks that are Daihatsus. Okay, so what do we got for another vehicle to take a look at?
We're 15 minutes over 12.
Oh, no, we're 5 minutes over because we started 10 minutes late this time because the sound wasn't working on the camera. Not because of anything that was our fault, personally. I am dodging responsibility. Yeah, we're over. We're not looking at another car here. Everyone, thank you for joining us. I'm going to go eat some lunch. Mike, what are you going to do next?
I'm going to think about...
I'm going to Disneyland!
I'm going to think about all the things I'm going to buy with the money, the super chat. Oh, we can't go yet!
Ah, Sean Black, I appreciate that you gave the money, but we just said goodbye. You want us to stay for that much longer? I am now obliged to respond, but I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Do you think there will be any good condition BH5 Subaru Lancasters? A Lancaster is a legacy in Japan. By the time they're US legal. Lancaster? Or is that just a mistake? I don't
know about Lancaster. Subaru Lancaster.
But BH5 is a legacy for sure. It's the turbocharged twin turbo 2-liter EJ20. You can get with 5-speed manual. Will there be any by the time they're US legal? I kind of want a clean shell for a build. Okay, if you're looking for a shell for a build, there will definitely be one because they made hundreds of thousands of these. They are they were very super common cars. The first generation, this is the second generation you're talking about. The first generation ones were made in very small numbers, like 1/10 of as many as they made the second generation. And the first generations, if you want one now, you have to go searching for unicorns, kill it, cut off its horn, ground it up into a powder, and snort it. And then once you've done that, then you can maybe find one of these legacies. The next generation is very easy to find right now. Generally pretty easy to find in good condition. The early ones tend to have a problem with piston slap, which you're really going to want to look into if you're concerned about it. Not a huge problem, but if you are looking to use this as a shell for a build, then I don't think that it's going to be that big of an issue because you could just change the engine to whatever you wanted. A lot more of the wagons than the sedans of that generation. They were like 5 wagons to 1 sedan. So if you're looking, but he said BH5, which is the wagon. BE5 would be the sedan of that generation. Yeah, so it is a little bit odd to go for the station wagon if you're looking for a build, but fast station wagons are awesome, and so I approve of that wholeheartedly.
Yes.
So I don't think it should be that difficult. At the moment, they're really cheap. You can get automatic transmission ones, which is probably what you want, for like $300, $400 all day long right now. When they become legal, price will come up. I don't think it's going to come up much higher for the automatics than 200,000 yen, which is $1,800 plus other fees. It is a little bit expensive for a base for a race car, but you also get all these other parts. You get a twin turbo engine, and that $1,800 would be for a decent running condition one with an automatic transmission, is my guess for the price. But they're not going to be legal until, when was the first year of that? They're not legal now. They will be in the next year or so. I feel like they came in like 94, 95, somewhere in there.
I think he was saying the Outback equivalent for.
The Outback is just a raised suspension version.
Yeah, but he was saying same as USA 2000s to 2004.
Oh, so the Lancaster is another name for the raised suspension version of it?
I think so. It looks like the Outback.
Can I look at
Yeah.
with my eyeballs?
All the Outbacks. There was one picture.
Okay,
of the
no, those are really rare in Japan. They come with like wider fenders on it and like Forester suspension. They're fairly rare here, and they don't come with with that engine. Like they don't come as a BH5. They only come with like the 2.5 liter non-turbo engine, I believe. Have to look into that though. But if you want to look into it, you can go to the auto catalog here on our website, and because you paid money, we're going to be extra nice to you. Lancaster. We can get all the information here. Okay, so they started in 97. And was I right about the engine? 2.5 and 3 liter. Wow, they came with a 3 liter engine. That is really cool. That's a 6-cylinder boxer engine. Yeah, so it started in 97, but yeah, not well. I say that they're not common because I don't see them on the road, and we've never had a customer ask us about it, so I haven't seen what they are at auction. But I'll have a quick look here to see if there are any at all right now.
Also, while you're looking at that, Josh also sent in another super chat, and he said, "What's the New Year's resolution for Pacific Coast Auto?"
I feel like that's a good way to get into trouble. Really? New Year's resolution? Josh.
Because Flavian set you up and he said, "How long can everyone keep us going with Super Chat?" And Josh was like, "I've got an idea." I love it.
Josh, you remember that time when you were like, "I'm going to buy a car that's not legal for the USA, and then we're going to import it to the USA," and I spent like $2,000 of my dollars to make sure that car could get to you? I'm waiting for that now. I've been waiting for that. I haven't told you about this, but you know, the super chat, it's a good way to pay me back. Plus YouTube gets 45% of it. Okay, so it looks like Lancasters seem to be pretty easy to buy, but not legal for a while by the looks of it. And here is, I didn't take a look. Is that USS? No, it's not. We're good. Here's what they look like. And they weren't in the generation that I thought that they were in. But my mind is so full of chassis codes, so I could have been wrong about that. What does he say?
That looks like it needs a sunroof.
BH is this generation. I was confusing it for the BG, which is this generation that comes before this. And I guess they didn't come in the Lancaster form. Well, on that note, being wrong about everything, thank you, Sean Black. New Year's resolution. Naoko. She says, "Don't ask me." Naoko, what's your New Year's resolution?
Just be happy.
She wants to just be happy, which is a lovely New Year's resolution. I usually don't make New Year's resolution because it looks like you're setting yourself up to fail. But my personal one is like this new thing that I'm doing. Is last year I was running and I only ran going for a jog for like 6 months before my knees were not strong enough to do that anymore. So I took about 6 months off, and then I just started as of this morning doing more. Not running. I'm going to a huge staircase by my house and just running up and down it.
Oh yeah.
And I think that might be a little bit softer on my knees.
That's close here?
Yeah. It's like 3 flights of stairs. And so you can, like, high intensity interval training.
Yeah.
Like, run as fast as you can up, and then, like, walk down so that you get your rest, and then, yeah. So I'm going to do that 2 times a week going forward, because I'm starting to get dad's stomach. And it's not going away. And, Mike, do you have a
Yes, is to take this phone call. I'm
Nope.
about to succeed.
No, I'll.
Good morning, Pacifico Solar.
Mike doesn't want to answer.
Yeah.
That's funny, Bill Courtney. Your poo-poo emojis were flagged. So for the Hunts by Chainsaw. Okay, I'm gonna have to actually cut it down
Right.
now. We are way over the time that we're supposed to be doing this for, but we will be back again next week if you missed our pretty faces, especially Mike's. Thank you everyone who sent in the super chats. That's super
Right.
rad. This is a new record
I missed the first part
for
of that.
everybody.
Did you
So
say where you
that's
were
the
in
end.
world?
See you all later.